Hello, welcome to this CoolLED video tutorial for integrating the pE-300 series into the Volocity software from Quorum Technologies. In this video we will show you how to set up and integrate a pE-300 Ultra into the software, but this setup is also applied to a pE-300 White and the method is exactly the same. The first step is to download the drivers from the CoolLED website, coolled.com. From here go to Support and Imaging Software. Scroll down to CoolLED pE driver, click Download here, where the file will be saved to your computer. Once downloaded, these will need to be extracted and saved somewhere memorable. In this case I'm going to do mine to the desktop and extract. Once done, you can now connect the pE-300 Ultra via USB and plug it in if not done so already. You can now open the device manager. From here, under the port section, you should see two ports which correspond to the CoolLED you've just plugged in. In this case, COM3 and COM4. If this is the first time of using your pE-300 Ultra, it's likely the drivers will need updating. This will be shown by a small flag next to the text, and to do this just right click and Update Driver, pointing it to where you've just downloaded those files. Do this with the second COM port as well. Once done, we are now ready to open Volocity. Upon opening Volocity, input your user ID and password and click Connect. When the main screen appears, I'll ask if you want to create a new library or open an existing one. In this case, I'm going to create a new library and call it something memorable like pE-300 Ultra, and we can run through the full setup. To first set it up, go to Edit and Preferences. On the left hand side, scroll down to Serial Ports. Here you'll see two COM ports which we previously saw under the device manager, and under just one of these, change the device to CoolLED. Now scroll up to Devices, and on the right hand side we can scroll down and we should see a checkbox for CoolLED. Tick this and make sure all of these are selected. This will allow for shutter control and intensity control for all the LEDs. From here we can now click Options, and here we can change the wavelength of the LEDs to what they are within the system you're using. So if you have an MB version of the pE-300 series, you'll have a 400 nanometer LED. If you have an SB, you'll have a 365 nanometer in the UV. The second LED peaks at 460 nanometers, and the third LED covers a broader range, so here we can put a wavelength of, say, 550 nanometers. Again, click OK. I've also included a dummy camera for this demonstration, but please ignore this if you're setting up your own system. Once done, you can click Save. We can now open up the settings by firstly clicking on Video Preview. The dummy camera here shows the image in the middle, so I'm just going to dim the brightness down on that. On the right hand side, we can see a few drop downs have now appeared. One is called CoolLED, and this now shows the three different LEDs, corresponding to 1 for the UV, 2 for the blue, 3 for the GYR, and below the intensity control for these three LEDs. To select which LEDs you want to come on, you can click them and they will appear in the dark grey, and you can adjust the intensities as so. Control them on and off as a shutter, it's just this button here. You can adjust and control the LEDs you want turning on and the intensities even when the shutter's on as well. Above this you can see a few numbers, and these are presets that can be created, so you can always go back to previous settings that you've used or if you require them. To create these you can double click on a number and a dialog box will appear. Change the name of this to something suitable, so for example I'm going to be using the UV for DAPI, so I'm going to call it DAPI and change this label name to DAPI as well. This label name will come up instead of the one you see here, and it can take up to 4 characters. We can change the colour of the background of this as well, and if you click wavelength here, you can input the wavelength you're using and click OK, and it will correspond to that colour. Scroll down and check the boxes here that we require. So we want CoolLED channels, and as I'm just adjusting the intensity of the UV LED, I only want channel 1. We also need to change the CoolLED shutter here to open, so when we select this preset, it will open up the shutter and our LED will be on. When done, we can click Save. Here we need to adjust which LEDs we want turning on for this setting. Adjust the intensity. We can turn it on. And when we're happy with those, click Save here. This means whenever we go to a different preset and back, it will recognize and remember those settings. Do this for as many as you require. I'm just going to do a second one. In this case, for the second LED, which is going to be Fitzy. The colour here is we're going to be using the second LED, so it's 460. You can see a kind of blue colour appears. Again, scroll down, CoolLED channels, and as we are only using the second LED, channel 2 is the only one needed to be checked. Again, CoolLED shutter, we can turn that to open, so when we click on it, the shutter will open. Again, change the LEDs on here we require, the intensity, and then the shutter, and when we're happy with that, click Save. So you can now flick between our two presets, one for the DAPI and one for the Fitzy. To create a time-lapse experiment, double-click on this icon above, and a dialog box will appear. Change the title of the experiment name to something memorable. Here we plan to do a DAPI and Fitzy, and below we can include as many channels as we want for this experiment. We plan to do 2 for the 2 we've set up, the DAPI and Fitzy, and it will take the pre-saved settings that we've created. You can see from all these different numbers here, you can save the settings. We're just going to do DAPI Fitzy. You can then move along the tabs, changing all the settings for the experiment that you require. You can click OK. Now when we've finished, we can press the red button here to record our experiment. You should see your light flashing, and we can see here it's changing between DAPI and Fitzy. When the experiment's finished, or you can finish it yourself by pressing stop, you can see the images as taken on the left hand side by clicking Library. Here you can scroll through your different images and they're ready to analyze and interpret. Thank you for watching this CoolLED video tutorial.